Hello and good day to you. My name is Nathan and I'm here at the workbench for my very first model build that I'm going to show you. But first, a little introduction about how I got into wooden models. A couple years ago, there was a hobby shop that I hadn't been to in many years, and I decided to go and visit that area of town because I hadn't lived there for, I don't know, at least 5 years or so. And I go to that hobby shop only to find that it's been taken up by another establishment. Well, come to find out, at the time, 3 years earlier, that hobby shop closed up, which was sad because that was one of my go-to places to get models and things like that. A couple years later, there's another hobby shop that opened in the same shopping center that was there to kind of fill the void that was left, or what was thought to be a void left from that previous hobby shop. Unfortunately, that hobby shop also went out of business after about a year, but not without me being introduced to wooden models. And the first of which was a JL Innovative model of this establishment here called the Suds Bucket, my very first wooden model. And I have to say, I was really happy with the results. It was a pretty simple build. The detail that comes with it is wonderful. The signs are kind of, stuck on because I didn't really know how to do signs against a wooden clapboard just yet. But nevertheless, I'm really proud of my first attempt. And since that time, there's other JL Innovative models that I've built from that line because I really like how easy it is to put these models together, the instructions that come with it, and things of that nature. So I figured what better way to introduce you to my modeling techniques for wooden models than to build a brand new JL Innovative model. Brand new to me, at least. I mean, this one's probably been around for some time. So I decided upon the Brookside Ice House. Now, this is a model that I've had my eyes on for quite some time, trying to get it through various eBay auctions and things like that until I found it for a pretty good price. And we're going to go through step by step what I go through when I try and put one of these wooden models together. So I hope you enjoy the process, and let's get started. Alright, so here we are at the workbench. Here's the brand new spanking model of the Brookside Ice House. And I'm going to go ahead and get this open and see what we have on the inside. Now, most of these JL Innovative models are set up the same way. You only really have one colored picture, and that's the one that's on the front here. If you're lucky, you might have a color inset of a back view of the model. But most of the time, it's just the one picture, and I like to leave that to the side kind of as a reminder of what I'm doing here. And again, most everything's laid out the same. You have all your plastic parts here. So we have some steps, some railings, which pretty much come in all of these, all the JL models that I've come across here. And also little, if you see that little ice blocks. Since this is an ice house, you gotta have ice that goes along with that. They like to bundle all the sticks together, color coded, and you can get the reference color code scale lumber designation in the instructions. But obviously this one's going to have a lot of lumber attached to it, because if you look at the bottom, all of these are the sticks of lumber that you have to cut to scale and create. Looks like there's 10 separate groupings that we'd have to do, and hopefully there's enough stick in here for that. You always get, I don't know why they do it, but for some reason they always put the detail parts against a piece of cardboard, which is great because this is the same type of cardboard they use for the roofs. So if you screw up on the roof material, you have something additional to use for roofing. So this is your detail part holder and extra roofing as well. And of course, here's all the clapboard wood, all in its own bag. Usually the instructions have the designations for each of these, so we'll go through and label those shortly. And then JL Innovative has its own tar paper roofing material. This is what you cut into strips to make the tar paper roof, and we'll do some of that as well. Oh God, no. All right, So this one has an actual metal roofing material, which we have to be really careful with because this stuff bends and crinkles easily. And I should have seen this coming because there's a little small shack on the side that we don't really see the roof on, but that to me seems like that's where the metal roofing is going to be ending up. And because I only see the tar paper roofing on the top of this here and the top of this little steeple. But yeah, I really don't like that metal roofing. It's a pain to keep flat. I've got a very small amount of acetate because there's really only one window according to this to the plastic parts that we have that I saw, and it's a tiny window too, so there's more than enough acetate. And here is the actual roofing material that's designated as roofing material. It's just a sheet of cardboard, and this is where you affix the tar paper sheet to and put it on the roof. Last but not least, we have the instructions. And this is different. Most of these JL models that I deal with, they don't have these pictures in the instructions. This is different here. You usually have just these elevation drawings, which are really helpful because it shows you where everything goes, and they're to scale also, so it's really convenient. But this is the first one I've come across where there's actually actual pictures, and I like seeing actual pictures of the model in its finished state. Like I said before, all the strips of wood, they're all color-coded. The actual color code is within the instructions themselves, so you have to really read the instructions to see which color goes with what size board. But one thing that's always common is that the brown are always going to be your interior bracing. So I'm going to go ahead and separate those because that's going to be one of the first things I do. Looks like they gave us 5 pieces of wood. And it's always smart to save your scrap bits because you never know when you might need them again. I had a Bar Mills model I was working on that needed some 2x4 strips just to make some railings look better, and I was able to pull some of that from an old model that I had left over parts from, and made the Bar Mills model look really good. What I'm going to do, since we have all the wall sections defined here with different numbers, I'm going to go through and cross-reference these with the actual parts in the bag here. And I'm going to use the elevations as well to cross-reference. So I'll put this over here. When you're working on a model, always start with a nice new sharp blade. I use a X-Acto number 11 blade. I have a whole canister of them, and it has a whole bunch of spare blades, 15 number 11 blades, and it also has a slot where you can discard your old blades so you're not just throwing them in the trash, which is great if you have little kids because you don't want them to be picking sharp blades out of the trash can. Alright, so I'm going to go through and find my elevations and mark them on the back with a Sharpie. Now this is going to be okay because I'm going to end up painting the backs of these black to give it a nice dark interior in case I want to do some additional work on them. So I'm not really going through and trying to find A1, A2, A3. Just as I pick it up, I find out what it is. So this right here, according to the elevation, is D1. So I'm going to go ahead and label all these. D5. Now some of these may be platforms. Like for example, this right here, this is the dock that goes all the way across the front of the model. We know what that is, we'll set that to the side. And this is part of the top cupola. So this looks to be A3. What's great with these scale drawings is that you can take this up to the drawing to make sure it matches the same size, and if it does, you can be pretty confident that's your piece there. Okay, So I'm going to go ahead and mark through those which I've found here. Still not sure what these pieces are. I'm pretty sure, based on the size of this and the size on the elevation itself, that this is the loading dock on the back end of the model. So we have the loading dock. We have the decking that goes across the front of the model. But this is a mystery. I'll get the size of this and see if that size is mentioned anywhere in the model. So it looks to be, it goes over what I have here. So it looks to be 2.5 inches by 3 3/8. So I'll keep my eyes on the instructions to see where that actually goes. So here's a little layout here of what to do. It tells you how many pieces, how long those pieces need to be. So we need 5 pieces of 2 7/8 inch long interior braces. So to do that, we get the chopper. And this is going to be a little tough to do because the chopper, or this chopper here, doesn't go far enough out to where I can do 2 7/8. Just set it and forget it sort of thing. So let's see how far it does go out. I'll just have to measure it every time. That stinks. That stinks. I'll have to measure it on the piece first and use a little notch, a little divot to match it up. So there's a 2, there's a 7/8 right there. And then line that up with the chopper. There it is. Check the measure. Perfect. All right. Let's just match these two together. And I like to match it on the inside, or have the cut piece on the inside, because you can butt that against the blade before you cut into the other piece. So now that you have 2 pieces that are the same length. And here's a short piece. I'm guessing there's some short pieces. We need 2 pieces that are 3/4 of an inch long, and it looks like we'll have enough for that here. So I'll go ahead and measure that out. And this is what the chopper is supposed to be used for, to be able to set these guides here, and you got your 2 pieces that are 3/4 of an inch that match exactly. So those are done. I need 3 more of these, which tells me that I'm going to have another short piece just hanging out there, spare part. You want to have that. You never know when you need it again. Alright, so line these pieces up again, but the first piece flush with it, flush them over here as well. And nice. Now I got 4, and my 5th and final one. There's my 5. So I got my 5, 2 7/8 inches. Now I need 2 that are 2.5. Do I have enough for 2.5 here? Is this 5 inches? Looks promising. Oh, I'm short. That's okay though. I'll work with it. Alright, at least now I can set this properly, because I should be able to set this to the right size. And that stays here. So now we have, there's that. Double check. Make sure it is 2.5 inches. You know, they say measure twice, cut once, and I'm doing this backwards because I like to live dangerously. And it is 2.5 inches, so that's our first piece. So this piece here is, well, this is close to 2 inches, and there are 2 2-inch long strips that are needed, so I think I'll count this as a 2-inch strip. And then one more 2.5 inch. And that's cut. So I got my 2.5 inch strips. And then just like with the other one, I'll just match this one with the existing cut strip. Actually, no, I cut the wrong one. I cut the leftover of the other one, but that's okay. Here's my 2-inch one. Yeah. Oh well. Who knows? I might need these later. See, this is, you know, I make mistakes. I'm not going to cut this because, you know, I'm not perfect. You don't need to be perfect unless you want to be perfect. But who wants to be perfect? So there I got my interior bracing. My 5, 2 7/8, 2.5, 2, and 2 3/4. Now let's go to the instructions to see where these go. Glue 2 7/8 long corner posts flush on the inside edge of each side of wall section A1. And here's A1. It's the big section. So these already have a little bow in them. So it's good to have this interior bracing just to make it a little easier. So it says the inside wall section of A1. I have started to use wood glue to do my gluing here. What I like to do, I like to take the wood glue and put that in a paint dish and use an old brush to paint it on the bottom part of the piece of wood here. And then using this square here to make sure it's flush against the edge, I will place it down and then push it over. Hold that for a few seconds. If you don't have something straight like this, there was a time where I was actually using the blunt end of any square paint bottles I happen to have. Or there was also a time where I was using the blunt end of my blade holder, and that's square enough to where it you can use that to press against the wood to make sure it stays flush. Because what you have to remember, this board is going to be used to glue C1 on this end and D1 on this end. I think that's good and settled. So now off to the other side, do the same with the other side. Go ahead and slather the wood glue on the edge. Place that on, and then butt it. And then hold it in place. The other side's still flat. That's good. That's what these interior braces are supposed to do. They're supposed to make the piece of wood flat. Now historically, what I've done with these models is I've actually assembled the whole wood structure and then painted it, but I want to do something different. I want to prime and paint it first before I actually assemble it, because there's a lot of people that seem to think that's a better way of going about doing this, and I figured, you know what, I'll try it out. You know, this is me trying something out live and in person for the first time. Hopefully it won't be too terrible of a debacle, and hopefully we can learn something from it as well. And then they kind of give you free rein to place these other two wherever you want on the on this. So I'll just place them in, you know, places that seem logical to me. Doesn't matter if it's flush with anything, just as long as it's going vertical. So put one there, and then the last one. Last one goes there, and that's the end of it. Just hold that for a couple seconds. All right, and there's our A1 piece. Any evidence of bowing is now gone. There we go. So now I have all my interior bracing. So the next step is going to be to do some painting, and that's painting all of the parts here with a primer color. And that's going to be what I'm going to do on the next video. The next video is going to be concentrated on painting and priming this entire model. I'll see you next time. Follow me along and subscribe if you haven't yet, and we'll see where this goes. Thank you.